Hey everybody, this is Siobhan from BigTexasBling.com, and I want to do another video for you regarding the basic rhinestone designs using your Silhouette Studio Designer Edition. Actually, just yesterday, I had posted a new video teaching everybody how to do just a basic outline of a design using the program. And somebody asked, well, how can I fill in the design with rhinestones if I don't want just the outline? So I'm going to go over a couple options for you today and teach you how to do that. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and delete that off of my screen. And the original video that I had done was using this same image that you see here on my screen right now of the state of Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and use that same image again for this tutorial. So to do this, once you open up your Silhouette program, you're going to go to your files or your library and you're going to select the image that you want to work with. And after you have your image up on your screen, and this one's actually just a simple like JPEG image that I've converted to an SVG file to open up in my Silhouette program. Anyways, so now that I have this image that I want to work with, and if you can do a black and white image, it'll always trace a little bit easier, but it's still possible to work with varying colors in your images. So to do this basic process though, you're going to left click. I want you to select your design that you have on your screen, and you need to do a trace of this design. So to do the trace, all you're going to do is you're going to come up to the top right area of your Silhouette screen, and there is a trace window option, and that's right here. And you're going to left click on the trace window option. It's going to give you your trace options that drop down over here on the far right. Okay, after you've opened up your trace options, you're just going to left click at the very top here where it says select trace area. And after you've selected that, you're going to come back to your screen, your workspace here, and you're going to left click with your cursor. You're going to hold it down, and I want you to just drag a box around the image that you want traced. And as soon as you do that, a yellow trace area should start to come up on your design. So for what we're doing today, I don't need the entire image filled with my trace. I just need the outer edge done. And to do that, you're just going to select this middle option here on the far right where it says Trace Outer Edge. So I'm going to left click on that. And as soon as I left click on that, it's going to give me my trace line on the outside border of this design. So I'm going to left click on my image and I'm going to drag it off to the right. I don't need it anymore. I could actually just go ahead and hit the delete button on that if you want to. And once you move that out of the way, you're now left with the outer edge trace line from your original image. And this is what we're going to use now to create our rhinestone design. So the question was, yesterday in the video tutorial that I had done, I had shown that if you just come up here now that you have this trace line and select your rhinestone options and tell it to do an edge, that it will automatically plug in your rhinestones and you now have a usable rhinestone template of your image that you're wanting to work with. Again though, this is just the outside trim or trace that we had done. So now the question was, what do I do if I want to fill all of this in? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that. I'm going to go back and get rid of my rhinestones. The first option that you have, very simple, is just to again select the image that you're working with, and instead of telling it edge over here on your rhinestones, you're going to either select a linear fill or a radial fill. I select clicking on both of them just to see which one is going to give you the best finished look. So if I select radial fill first, you'll see it automatically plugs in all the rhinestones for me. It gives me my stone count over here to the bottom right, which is at 1,036 SS10 rhinestones right now. I do, though, have a lot of gaps in here because I did a radial fill. The radial fill works really well with more rounded images and designs, or if you have something that's incredibly uneven. And so because the state of Texas is not very round and it already has a lot of straight edges here, it's not filling it in the way I would like it to, and I'm left with a lot of gaps. Now you can still go back and fix those gaps after you've done this process, but instead what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to click on linear fill and see what that looks like. And so I actually like the way the linear fill looks better and the nice clean lines that it gives me. And if I wanted to, I can now go over, create my cut box around my design and send it to my Cameo, and I can use that as my template. But I'm going to hit the back arrow button now to show you how to keep the nice clean edge and have your design filled in. Now to do that, once you have your trace line done, you're going to select your trace line, and now I want you to create an offset. And to create the offset is you're going to select this little button up here. If I hover over that, it says open the offset window. We're just going to left click there, and after I left click and it opens my window up for me, I now want you to left click again where it says offset. And as soon as you click on that, it's going to automatically give you your offset line around the outside of the original image that you had. Okay, so here's my offset line. Now, you can go ahead and try and work with this. You might need to play with it a little bit. I know that this offset line might be a little bit too close to this inside line, and my rhinestones are going to overlap too much. So I want to change the distance of my offset. I also want to sharpen up my corners that are here. So to do those two things, I'm going to, instead of having round corners selected, I'm just going to select corner over here on the left. And as soon as I do that, it sharpens up my corners on my image. Now I want to change the distance between these two lines that are here. And to do that is my distance option over here, and I'm just going to left click on my arrow up button, and I want to change my distance to about 0.15. So I'm going to scroll up. You can also highlight it and just type in 0.15. And after I've done that, I'm just going to come right here and left click on apply. And now I have my outside edge and my inside edge done. So to do this, you're going to select your first line, your outermost traced line here, or your offset line. You're going to left click and select that, and then you're going to come up here to your rhinestone options again and left click on that. And I want you to do the same process we had done in the other video. You're just going to left click on edge, and as soon as I do that, it's going to plug in my rhinestones around that entire line for me all the way around. Okay, now that I have that done and I like the spacing of my stones and I like the line and I think everything looks good, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now select the inside line from my original trace, and I'm going to select that. And now instead of telling it to do an edge, which you could do and have two lines, I'm going to hit undo there. Instead of telling it edge, I'm going to now go back and now I'm going to do my linear fill. And once I do my linear fill, it's going to give me all of my rhinestones lined up in my image. Now you'll see I still have some gaps, so I'm going to have to go back in and change those by hand, which is really simple. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get some of the, scroll down so I can get some of this empty space here. So to fill in some of these gaps, you can either A, change the spacing that you had for your original stones that you were laying down, or I like the spacing, I just don't like these empty spaces that are in certain pockets of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a single click option right here on my rhinestones, and I'm going to make sure that my SS10 stones are still selected. And to do this now, all I have to do is come in here to where some of my empty gaps are, and I'm just going to left click with my single stone option here. And you'll see that it automatically starts laying in rhinestones in those spaces for me where I'm clicking. Get the space down here. Now if you want to try and squeeze a stone in there and you're not so sure about how much space you have, your circles can actually overlap just a little bit. And yes, when it goes to the cutter, it will cut them overlapping, but it will not affect them as long as the overlap isn't too much. It won't affect the process of actually brushing in your rhinestones into your template, and all it'll do is just give you a tighter fit between your stones. Okay, so I'm going to add one down here. Let me go back down towards the bottom of my image a little bit. Let's add one in here. If I wanted to, I could probably add another one right in there. Fill in this space down here, maybe one in there, and this little gap there. If I wanted to, I could probably add some more right in here and there. And then you'll also see I have this space right here that is left blank as well. Now I can go in and I can fill those in by hand, or you can select your freehand option. And to do the freehand, you're just going to left click and you can actually draw your rhinestones out. I'm not very good at that. As you can see, I don't have a steady hand to keep my line very straight. And I would prefer in here actually doing the single click option just so that I can spread them in the spaces that I want them. And so you'll see by doing that I can now control exactly where my stones are going. And so I'll just left click along there, and I'm going to fill in that space all the way across. There we go. Okay, and now if I zoom out, you'll see that I have a nice clean edge out here on my design, and the entire image is now filled with my stones, and it's keeping my stone count for me over here on the far bottom right still, which is now at 1,241. So I know once I'm done with this design and I send it to my cutter for my template and I'm pricing out my products, I know that I have 1,241 SS10 rhinestones in this design here. Now all that's left is you want to come over here to the far left of your screen. You're going to select your Draw a Rectangle box and left click on your workspace, and you're going to click and drag a box around your design. I don't want my lines too far away from my rhinestone, so I'm going to select my lines and I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer to my design. There we go, and that's good on the other two sides. So now my design is actually done and ready to be sent to my cutter. So you just load your sticky flock template material into your Silhouette Cameo. You don't mirror image this design at all. You send it as is to your cutter, and you just send it through with the box, with your outer box and your design in the middle selected, and it'll cut your template for you. And as long as you have the correct cut settings, when you peel your sticky flock away from your carrier sheet after it's been cut, it will actually weed out all the circles for you, and so you don't have to do any weeding by hand the same as you would working with vinyl. So if you have any questions about today's video, please be sure to send me a message. Be sure to like us and follow us on Facebook, and comment and give me your feedback on the video. Thank you.